What is going on, people? It's Matt from Liquid Loans. In this one, I'm excited to have this guy back on again, a TA sentiment and crypto specialist. This guy has his ear to the ground with all things markets and finance. And in times like these, there's no better man for the job. So with no further ado, Mr. Crypto Jenkins. Cosmo Jenkins? Sorry, bro. Messed up the name there.
No, it's all good. What is good, my friend Matt? It is a pleasure to be back on here with you. I haven't been streaming in a while, so you brought me out of my bed.
Yeah, man. I know you've been doing what bears do in bear markets, right? You've been in the woods, but it's good to have you back on, bro. Because I really enjoy your streams whenever you stream. I know it's been about a couple of weeks since you streamed on your channel, maybe a week and a half. But I always enjoy your take on the markets, and with everything going on right now, I think we need a calm, logical, and technical analysis mixed with sentiment analysis, which you do very well. So great to have you back on here.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited to look at the charts and everything again because I haven't really done too much in-depth research in a while. So I saved it all for you.
Awesome, man. So what do we make of it at the moment? Obviously, Bitcoin's down, what is it, nearly 30% in a week. It's just dropping. It's free falling. What's going on in your eyes?
Just typical bear market stuff. I feel like this is long overdue. I know you've been on my streams a lot when I was doing them daily back in like January, February, and and Bitcoin is trading around that 45K range. It just made the bounce off 35, printed a nice ascending triangle and stuff, and they gave us that bull trap right on the breakout of that triangle and then melted. So that was like a 2-month worth of buildup in terms of price action. It finally broke and ripped down. So, but in terms of just zooming out, checking structure for all things crypto, I mean, it's typical bear market stuff. The markets have been inflated and pumping for almost 2 years straight since COVID hit. And now they're finally starting to settle down, find some structure. So it'll be over before we know it. It might take some. It might a short time for me might be a long time for someone else and vice versa. But at the end of the day, it'll end like all bear markets do.
I love it, man. I love it. While you go on Twitter and everyone says the world's burning down, you're just like, chill, guys. We've been here before, and I think that's what we need sometimes. We need to have some voices like this in the community. So. What do you see? Do you want to pull up the charts or something? If we look at Bitcoin, what do you see in the short term and the long term and what's not?
Yeah, I can pull up the chart. Whatever you want to look at, just let me know. Let's see. How do I let me share this screen?
Yeah, let's start with Bitcoin because it normally leads the markets. And
okay.
So let me just add this.
Let me know if I'm up.
Yeah, you're up, man.
Okay. Let me see. So Bitcoin, this is obviously the Bitcoin chart. So from those daily streams, I was just talking about that ascending triangle that we saw. This is a weekly chart, so every candle is 1 week. So a lot of the stuff seems like it's happening, so fast, but this is really like years worth of price action. Let me go on the daily chart actually. So for Bitcoin itself, when I was doing those streams back in like January, February, this is that ascending kind of pattern I was talking about, and I'm sure you remember those where we started getting, the bottom started getting higher and higher, but in this general range, we got this, same higher high top. So the triangle kept getting, closer and closer. The bull trap was right there. And I was telling people, I'm not sold on us being in a bull market until Bitcoin breaks and retests 45K as an actual support line, which it showed us the bull trap came down to retest that 45K range. It just did not hold the support at all. And the next thing you know, it rips underneath this, bottom ascending pattern or line, and then actually retested it. So it showed us good, healthy structure if you're a bearish person. And then boom, the thing just ripped. First step down from that range we've always, talked about for probably like past 12 to 18 months is that 30K range. It's going to melt, hit that 30K range because there's so much structure down here. So we got that actually out of the way, hit the 30K range. Obviously it wicked, 25 at first. Slowed down, turned the 30K range into a support line, and now it finally just hit us with, the final retest before the next leg down. So overall, it just looks like typical price action on the chart. It's just, unfortunately, it's not going up and to the right at the moment. But like I said, these are normal things that you see in markets. What I see in Bitcoin now, and we've talked about this in plenty of streams, is this 25K range. We always circled that little triangle that it created. I kept extending that, every time I would do those daily streams. It's a little bit of a crooked line, but No surprise to see. I mean, this is a wide range. This is like 22 to 25 or whatever. So I'm circling like big ranges just to give a macro kind of idea. But in this general area, it's not a shocker to see Bitcoin temporarily slow down. Wouldn't be shocked to see a little bit of a bounce here soon. I don't know if there's enough strength in the markets to see, if we get a full retest of this previous range up here. It could just continue to drop, but I would expect to see some form of a bounce, kind of like what we're seeing now. But for the people that don't enjoy bear markets, that are kind of freaking out about what's going on, and this volatility is, worrying people, I would not worry. Volatility is in the game, and you want to see these hard capitulating movements in the price chart. That just means we're getting the bear market out of the way faster. The lower we go, the sooner that it actually ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, after this kind of storm settles with this, capitulation pullbacks type stuff, main range right here, this 19-20K range, I fully expect Bitcoin to at least touch here. We all know Richard Hart has been talking about 10, 11K for a long time. 20K, why it's so key for me here. You extend it. That was the initial all-time high back in 2017 when we had that first bubble, then the year-long bear market after that. But so essentially what's happening is our all-time high that we got in 2017 is finally being retested, or it hasn't been yet, but it's soon to be retested for the first time essentially ever. I mean, it came back up, tied the all-time high for a few days, and that was it. It was sayonara. Now we're starting to get some structure here. So if you're a technical analysis person, you're looking at charts, you like to see price action like that. I always talk about the waves in the market, impulse, correction, impulse. That'd be just another correction to touch, structure here. And if it's good enough structure, we can just, move right off of that. But I mean, Richard Hart and them, the guy that knows probably a million more than I do about markets, he's looking at 10K, and I can easily see, what. And he called this at like 65K around here. So he's nuts. But looking at it just from price action, that 10, 11K range, there's tons and tons of structure in there. Does Bitcoin break under 10K? I don't think so. And if that does happen, that's probably the final capitulation before the actual, bull market. But I could see where Richard Hart's coming from in this 10 to 11K range. But yeah, all in all, it might be like a slow, painful process for the people that, are scared to see their portfolio shrink and then shrink even more because they didn't sell when they wanted to. But it all ends. Just don't. I would. This is never financial advice when I speak, but I would not advise people to sell in the midst of the madness while everything's going down, because it's going to feel real bad when Bitcoin goes up and makes 2-3 years from now, however long it may take, it makes new all-time highs without you, and you knew at one point you had a bag at one time. So be responsible out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. It feels like it's never going to end when you're in the bear market, but like you said, everything goes in fractal patterns, and the bull will come again. So do you think it's been expedited by, the Celsius drama and inflation being released?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, remember this first, let me zoom in a little more now that we kind of see the macro, but this first massive, rip down right here, this was that Luna drama. Remember, Luna happened. And then, or at least in this range, at least it could have been up. I think it was like right here. But yeah, when Luna happened, the market capitulated, and then things kind of balanced, settled. And then now the Celsius drama is happening, and boom. I wouldn't say that's the exact reason, but when shady things happen in crypto, the typical investor doesn't even understand Bitcoin, let alone Ethereum, let alone things like PulseChain. So the typical investor just knows, hey, if one thing bad happens in crypto, all of crypto's bad, and that's the general sentiment for those typical, people that are just like Coinbase investors, So yeah, those bad things with like all the hacks and like the rug pulls, money getting locked and stuff, that scares a lot of people. And the people that hold crypto that don't understand crypto typically hold majority of their portfolio in Bitcoin, outside of the people that were in early that are just maxis by, default because they were in so early and they want to keep pumping the bag. But when bad things happen in crypto, it causes price action like this. But you also have to think too, like, it's almost like you're not a conspiracy theorist, but you have to think like one, because markets are manipulated by whales that have more money than all of us combined can ever dream of, even if Bitcoin and Hex all got to $1 million, and if you look at typical markets like the stock market and stuff, you'll see big drops like this, and then there'll always coincidentally be something in the news that caused it. But it's like, no, the same people that cause these drops a lot of times control what happens in the media or happens in the markets or happens to these coins to cause that fear so they can get themselves the discounts that they want. So it goes two ways, you know, so it's designed to scare people, but if you're in the market, you have to understand it happens by design. So you have to stay, you know, stay calm, remain stoic, and see it for what it is.
I mean, I think that's good advice for anything in life. And obviously the market's a reflection of human nature, right? And human emotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So staying calm is always going to be better than losing your mind and freaking out and maybe pressing that sell button. So you said we could be in here for a while. Do you think that the top was 65K top and the other one was a fake out? Or what would you call the top of the market for you?
I mean, the top's the top, 69K. This is the actual top. I know Richard Hart has his call around 65K, and he deserves all the credit because the dude literally, like, I mean, Bitcoin did go down. It bounced off 30K. He thought this was a dead cat bounce and, you know, thought it was going to 10K right away. It didn't. It even faked him out. It made, you know, like a new BS all-time high. But this is the all-time high. This is the actual top. But when you just kind of zoom out, you realize, like, yeah, when Richard Hart was talking about 65K being the top, it didn't go much higher. It really led a lot of people on. This is like the bull trap of bull traps right here. This whole 30K to 69K. People really thought that like 100K was coming because of the strength that the market showed that no one expected. But yeah, I mean, the 69 guys, this is the actual top. I can't take that away just because of Richard Hart's call.
Gotcha. So how, in your opinion, you've been around the block a few times, how long do bear markets usually last? Now, obviously you can't put an exact date on it.
Yeah. Well, to give you guys an idea, I mean, the top from 2020, I think this was an exact 365. It was a full year, and basically, it was actually more than a year. Well, if we go from top to bottom, 370 days, we're just over 1 year. So in 2017 through 2018, we saw a whole year straight of just an 83.94% dip. And I'm sure some exchanges have different wicks. So 85% is probably the general consensus on that dip. But Bitcoin did spend a whole year going down 85%. But that didn't mean the price just came and made new all-time highs right away. Because you see, you know, price pumped and then it couldn't break past, you know, 12 to 14K for the life of it. Then COVID hit right here. And then we had another mini bear market that lasted like maybe 60 days only, which looks like peanuts on this chart. But, you know, 60 days it feels like a lot when you're sitting through it. So for Bitcoin to hit 20K and then really break past it, it took how long? 1,096 days. What is that? 3 years? 1096 divided by 365. Yeah. 3 years on the dot. So, I wouldn't say this was a whole bear market. I would consider this the bear market, the whole year straight of dropping. And then, you know, a lot of investors that like to buy on those discounts. Let me delete this box real quick to give you guys an idea, because there's a whole time frame right here. People had 142 days to sit and buy Bitcoin, you know, around $4,000. And then, you know, we started a pump and then we made a higher high. So this section, so out of this whole 3 year span, I would consider the whole first year the actual bear market. The 2 years after that, it was a bull market, in my opinion. We didn't have all-time highs, but how many people really bought up here? There wasn't as much time to buy the top as there was to buy the bottom or even down here. So I would say if we're going to mimic something like that, you can see this thing. Let's just go from this top, the recent one, to be fair. If we're going like, you know, 300 and I think it's 70 days. I mean, you're looking at something like November. We could see something like a bottom. If it goes to 85%, there's the Richard Hart call. I mean, it lines up. Things are lining up. It could drag on for a few more months. That makes sense. You know, then see Bitcoin kind of mess around for another year and a half, maybe 2 years to really break the all-time high. But I feel like once we bottom off here, in my crazy conspiracy mind, that's when you're going to see things like, oh, PulseChain's coming out because money's going to start pulling back into the market. It makes sense. And then you'll see PulseChain on steroids, but it's another topic. But yeah, I would say
we'll get into that in a minute for sure.
Yeah, but, at least like a year of dipping to be safe. And then maybe a year or two of just recovery before the actual real bull run that shoots us probably to 100K.
Sure. Well, I mean, we're deep into it. So, you know, that saying, I think it's from Winston Churchill. If you're going through hell, just keep on going, right?
Just keep on going. Absolutely. You got to find beauty in the madness.
Exactly. What did you think about, I'm not sure if you saw Richard's last stream, but he thinks Bitcoin will do an 85% and Ethereum will do it up to 95%. Do you agree with that? Maybe we'll have a quick look at Ethereum as well.
Yeah, definitely could. I mean, like 85%, to be specific, 85 is just around 9K. But yeah, like the difference between 82 and 85 is looking at like 9,600 to like 1,100 Bitcoin. I mean, 11,000 Bitcoin. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I had to burp.
No
If you look at Ethereum, this chart might be messy. I don't know the last time I looked at this one, but got some random measurements here. Oh, this is me doing like hex price action, mimicking that. Let me just clean this up real quick. Ethereum, I mean, we saw the infamous 95% dip at the same time that Bitcoin did the 20K down to 3K drop. Ethereum, same price action. Instead of 85%, it did 95% once before, and then it took, another how long before it broke all-time highs? Another 820 days. So yeah, still like a 1 year, way of dipping, and then like a year and a half to 2 years of just recovery before the all-time high. If we're talking 95% dip from the top of Ethereum, where are we at? Roughly $250 Ethereum. I don't think it's going that low, but I mean, I don't know. I genuinely see a $400 Ethereum. I made a tweet, but it wasn't like a general tweet. It was in response to some random crypto influencers page talking about something with the crypto markets, but it's getting messy. But I can see, a dip to $400. As crazy as that sounds, I thought I was crazy doing that, but that's still a 90% dip. So there's not much difference between 90 and 95, but I don't see 250 happening. If that happens, we're talking real capitulation, like world ending type stuff. People are really going to be selling.
Yeah, I mean, that would be crazy. I mean, to see a $200 Ethereum right after it's been to, what was its all-time high? Was it 5K nearly?
4,800 and some change, like 4,840 or over on this chart says 4,830. So
yeah, I mean, near enough, but still.
I feel like there's too much money in the markets to see Bitcoin go like under 9,600 and to see Ethereum go under 400. I just feel like it's a different market. There's too many people in it. I don't see it happening. But like I said, if Richard Hart thinks it, I just learned one thing in crypto is not to question him when it comes to just knowing when he talks crypto. I don't question it. There's a lot of things I can question when it comes to how he is and who he is, but we're all flawed human beings. But when it comes to crypto, I've learned to just whatever he says, if I don't get it or agree with it, I have to figure out how I should first before I really, because it's usually a flaw on my end if I'm underestimating what he's saying when he's talking crypto, because he's probably the most knowledgeable person I've ever come across on the internet in crypto specifically.
Yeah, we've missed his streams, right? Because before he was streaming a lot, and then when he came out with the stream the other day, he wasn't doing his kind of like crazy outrage marketing. He was just talking a lot about the markets and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, you kind of forget about that, right? That side for a bit.
It's a breath of fresh air. It is.
Yeah, it really, really is. So what's that fib saying?
I'm just throwing a random fib on here to see, from the Ethereum low of 2016, throwing it to the pump of 2018. To see the future price projection, it looks like it hit a 2.618 future projection there. So I'm going to throw this on Bitcoin real quick just to see if there's anything that aligns here. And I'm throwing the fib on backwards for future projection. This is just like my unorthodox style of technical analysis. It's not textbook, but we know a lot of this stuff makes sense when we put the numbers together. Hang on, let me zoom out here. So I'll go from the 15 bottom just to see, because I haven't looked at charts in a while. So I'm just going to take a look at some random stuff here while I'm on here with you. It's probably valuable. From that pump to that pump. So yeah, so I'll go to Ethereum real quick. If you look at this fib, it topped off at the 2.618. If you look at Bitcoin, it topped off a little bit higher. It actually hit the 3.618 extension. So that's quite interesting. So when I look at like potential bottoms and recoveries, what the next price target could be based off of that. Let me see something real quick. Let me throw it on this most recent pump on Bitcoin. Let's go from the COVID dip. That's more recent for us to all-time high. So like a 2.618, that's 171,000 Bitcoin. That's insane. So I don't know. I'll stick with my 1.618 because let's get to 100 first. But just to give people ideas, like these are just algorithms that kind of, that just measure how the markets flow. And, eventually we will get there one day. It'll probably take a long time, but And that was like what a measurement over 5 years. So yeah, you could see outrageous numbers like that in Bitcoin, but it's not gonna come that easy. But I just want to check that real quick.
But man, I don't doubt your fib work, because every time you pull it, that 618, man, it's like a magic number, right?
It's magical, right? Let's throw it on Ethereum real quick just to see this unorthodox pump we have here. You're talking 2618. 12.5 for Ethereum. I can see that. 12.5 in the next pump. I mean, 10K is obviously that psychological level we're gonna have to break, but we also thought 10 cents in Hex was that psychological level that'd be tough to break, and we 4x that top there. So yeah, I can see the fib it lines up here nicely. And what's ironic actually is the 236 bottom retracement level right here is actually where the price is at right now, and I would not be shocked to see a bounce off of this. And like I was saying earlier, Bitcoin hasn't hit that 236, but I remember how I just circled that 19-20K range earlier. Yeah. It actually lines up exactly in that area. So I would not be shocked to see Bitcoin hit a bottom around 19-20K, recover, maybe pull back to 27-28K range, give people that hope, and then really bring on the max pain, talking November, December, kind of like how that general 365-day capitulation thing we just measured. So a lot of these things could align up. It's all about just, putting pieces together, and that's how I find my sentiments when it comes to just technical analysis. But yeah, the numbers are looking good. So it's a bear market. It's not fun, but the structure is necessary, and the structure's lining up, looking at it from a couple of different angles. So I like it.
It's good to see it, man. It's good to see on the short term and the long term, what's possibly in store. And of course, nothing is set in stone, but still these fib, like as you can see on the chart there, you can see that, support and resistance being tapped and hit a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, really interesting. Do you know when Saylor gets liquidated? Is that sub 20 or something?
I have no clue. I don't know the Saylor situation. I just know he bought high, and I know that he hated Bitcoin in 2013 when he could have been a gazillionaire at this point if he would have put the same amount of money in. I don't know the situation, but if he's really in a position to get liquidated, oh Lord, good luck. That's going to be.
I think he's $1 billion in the hole at the moment.
I mean, I saw that. I saw he's $1 billion down. So that billion's probably you're talking from this number alone. If he's down $1 billion now, and we still go down to 10K, add another 50%, so 1.5 billion maybe, if that math is correct. I mean, it can get really ugly for a lot of people. It's weird because like I have friends that bought Bitcoin at 29K. 37K, 45K instead of things like, Hex because of Richard Hart or whatever. And they're more of those, they're not as ballsy and Chad when it comes to investing. They're stock market people, low volatility people, low gains. But I'm like, it's really going to bring these traditional investors that same max pain that they tried to avoid by not investing in, other altcoins over the years. Because you're buying whole Bitcoins at $37,000. That's 37K that's a lot of hard-earned money at a typical job. And to see that go down to, 10 to 11K, that's painful. So I don't want to see it, but it's necessary. It's because not everybody can get rich in markets. You just have to just plant your seeds and forget about them. That's the beauty of things like Hex. When you stake it, you have no choice but to not sell, because I'm sure Hex price would be way worse right now if everybody had a chance to sell their bag that, that is staked. But a lot of people are going to thank themselves for making those decisions in the early days, in the next few years. So
let's have a look at the Hex chart now, if that's cool.
Yeah, of course. Let's look at the Hex chart. So this is not the whole chart. Let's look at, I'm going to do the whole entire Hex price chart because we got to be fair to Hex. Because that trading view doesn't have the whole entire from inception. So let's go here. I'm going to share a new screen.
Okay.
Stop sharing. Can I share again real quick? Let's go here.
Yeah, sure.
Share screen, tab.
Apparently the chat's saying Saylor doesn't get liquidated until 3K Bitcoin. So okay, maybe we're well off then. Maybe he doesn't get liquidated at all then. Oh
yeah, Saylor's safe then. I didn't even know he was in a position to get liquidated. I thought he was just hodling coins like a normal person.
No, he's gone on leverage in the last buy, I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think he's taken money out to buy Bitcoin.
I'm not sure. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's definitely taken out. It's definitely not his money. So yeah, that's a degenerate thing to do. But at least I don't know. I don't have it. I'm sorry. I'm not surprised, Michael Saylor. But good luck to you. Just keep holding. He's got the laser eye, so he'll be fine one day. But I think 3K, he's safe. He's safe. But Hex price chart now, just looking at it from a naked eye, doesn't look bad. The same structures we're looking at, this general area right here is the 1 to 2 cent-ish range. Hex first hit this range. Oh, let me just not circle. Let me make this a little more organized for you guys. Where's my boxes? It's been a while.
People were saying it's a margin call. So maybe he's on leverage. He hasn't borrowed money. It'll be a margin call if it goes down to 3K. So okay. Interesting. But sorry.
It's all good. Good for you, Saylor. But this whole range, right? This is 1 to 2 cents right here. Hex first hit that pre-big payday, October 2020. People forget how long did it. So there's a lot of people that think Hex is going to zero. First of all, that's I don't get it. I don't really have a response for that. It's just like if people don't understand simple things, so I try not to certain people just won't get it no matter how much you explain it. Hex definitely isn't going to zero, just like Bitcoin and Ethereum ain't going to zero. But there's so many people looking at sub-cent Hex the same way that everybody looked at $1 plus Hex in the bull run. But I think what a lot of people are forgetting is how much time Hex actually spent in this 1 to 2 cent range here. The same range is comparable to like the 20,000 all-time high for Bitcoin, or what was the other range in Ethereum? I think it was like 800 or something. I'm taking a quick look. The 1200 range ish in Ethereum. What I'm saying is, Hex first hit this in October 2020 pre-big payday. Obviously, the massive fundamental dip, so I kind of don't consider that in this range. But we see 1, 2, 3 tops before Hex finally broke out of this 1.5 cent range, retested it, and then took off for the bull run. There's so many positions open in this range right here. There's so much structure here. I would say the most money in Hex, and this is just by looking at a chart, what the candles tell me. It's clear that the biggest range where all the money sits is going to be somewhere in this box. That's 1 to 1.5 cents, even 2 to 2.5. I wouldn't look too much lower than that range for people that, it's good to get greedy when others are fearful. I get it. That's why, 3.5 cents, there's definitely room for potential of it going down. Hex is still moving to the beat of its own drum, right? Hex was at 3 cents. It melted down to 3 cents when Bitcoin is at 28K the other day. Hex maintained 3 cents, 3.5 cents, while Bitcoin ripped down to 20K, in the past day and a half. So Hex just kind of rips and dips whenever it wants to. It's not immune to a bear market. Now we're seeing that. It used to be, right? The price showed us that. We had no other evidence to believe it wasn't, but now we're witnessing its first bear market. But even in a bear market, it's kind of moving to the beat of its own drum. So with Hex, the reason why I say that is, we're at some structure right now, this 3.5 cent bottom. By the way, when I first started streaming, Hex hit 6 cents. The first call, when I used to make calls all the time before I had too big of a platform to disappoint a lot of people, I called this 3.5 cent dip because this was on this pump. That was the 0.618 retracement when I first started streaming last year in May. So that same exact level, though, Hex is sitting there right now. So to see, this 3 cent range hold, it's promising. It's a good thing because I figured oh man, if Hex is going down to 3 cents, but while Bitcoin's still chilling at 28 to 30K, what happens when Bitcoin starts making us move to 10, 15K? Well, now we're seeing Bitcoin is making us move to 10, 15K. Hex is still holding this range pretty well. Wouldn't be shocked to see a temporary bounce, maybe go in line with a temporary Bitcoin bounce after it finds some actual support at 20K. But I'm talking temporary bounce as in 4.5 cents before we see maybe another leg down. Because I feel like a max pain capitulation, bloodshed in the streets in the bear market, it's gonna affect everybody. But I mean, if you measure from where we're at now, if we're looking at another 50% dip from where Bitcoin's at now, let me find it. Sorry, this is I'm rusty. I forget where all my little tools are at. Let me find this little measurement. Here it is. Another 50% from here, technically 50% at 1.5 cents. But even if you want to extend it another 60%, I mean, you're talking, I would put this 1 to 1.5 cent range at the same range where that 10 to 12K is at for Bitcoin. And also that, I guess the 400 range is a little bit of an excessive dip for Ethereum I was talking about, but still, at least with Bitcoin, if we're talking 10 to 12K in Bitcoin, I wouldn't just magically expect Hex to come all the way down to like 0.0002 or 0.002, 2/10 of a penny. People are getting overly ambitious looking at downward targets. So it's good to be greedy, like I was saying, and when others are fearful, but don't miss out on really good opportunities. The difference between 3.5 cents at this point and 1.5 is like obviously 2 cents. But when we're over here trading at 40 cents and Hex goes from, 23 cents up to 41 cents in a matter of 3 days, that's an 18-cent swing. Hex already showed us that it can swing 10, 15 cents, in a matter of a couple of days. So the difference between 2 cents now isn't much. It is a 63% dip, but don't let the unit bias for everybody that got too in love with 50-cent Hex at the top. The good thing for everybody is it can't drop any more cents at this point. There's only 3 cents worth of drop. So now we're just looking at measurements. So when we see Bitcoin drop another $10,000 and we see Max Payne, that could only be another 2 cent drop in Hex, which isn't terrible when it comes to unit bias. But what I'm saying is, I made a tweet today, like $3,500 right here gets you 100,000 Hex. 100,000 Hex right here is worth $50,000. 100,000 Hex, obviously at $1 is $100,000. Never financial advice, but you just got to see a good deal. And if Hex has the potential to go, under a penny, which it very well can, or to 1.5 pennies, it very well can. What happens if it doesn't and too many people wait this low? The markets don't just hand out these targets for people. And usually when it does, it's a quick capitulation. Only a few bags can get filled with limit orders, and not everyone's going to have that opportunity, But yeah, overall structure in Hex, not bad. Unfortunately, it had to come down this far to kind of, really show the world that, okay, Hex is another altcoin that is capable of doing what every altcoin is capable of doing. It's not like, I still think it's like, it's immortal in a certain sense when it comes to crypto. But the important thing here is like, this has always been good structure. It's just as the price ran away from us, like in this first dip, thinking like, okay, if it doesn't respect 3.5 cents, it might come touch this range. That wouldn't have been bad if we dropped from 6 cents down to 2 cents again. But Hex just was so bullish that it took off to 50 cents that coming down to 1.5 cents really sounds bad. But if you look at the chart, the same way Bitcoin filling these, support areas at, 20K and 10K, it makes sense on every chart across the board. It just so happens to be that Hex's area just doesn't sound as sexy when you say 1.5 cents as opposed to 50 cents,
So you think a lot of people are waiting for that 1 cent region?
Oh yeah. Yes, there's a lot of people with a lot of money waiting on the sidelines. And for the people that bash the OG hexagons for dumping or quote unquote, like, okay, first of all, like the OG hexagon term is like, it's too vaguely used and it's applied to too many different people, so kind of, I think that's not a great term to use, but like OG people, there is some bad actors, right? But there's a lot of these OG people, and there's a lot of people that made a lot of money in this run up. Even if you're not OG, if you got in pre-big payday or even you could have gotten to Hex in April of 2021 at 1.5 pennies and made still like a 35 or 30x, and if you put in good money, that's great money at the top. A lot of people sold up here have a lot of money and kind of just been waiting for dips like this. And I talked to a lot of people within the community. I talked to, a few whales here and there. The good thing about me doing technical analysis over the past year is a lot of people reach out to me personally that hold bags that can really do damage. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people that are waiting off right now. And these people will get back in, but it's like whales will determine when we find a bottom. But it just all happens in the right conditions. So I'm not saying I know when people are going to buy, but I do know that if price starts flirting with a penny, don't really look too much lower at that point. If it does want to wick lower than a penny, maybe go to like 0.7 of a penny, because all in all, this structure here is great structure too. This line where I should have drew a box, but you have this line where we have, top, and then bottom. That's what 6 tenths, 7 tenths. It could go there. It won't spend too much time, but just don't get overly greedy. When we start flirting with the penny, that's a really good re-entry for a lot of people that made a lot of money at the top. And not everybody that sells just goes out and buys a bunch of things. A lot of people that sell that have been in the markets for a while, especially like traders, they sell their bags at the top, hold stables on the way down, and then, re-enter down here. So just don't underestimate what Hex is capable of, and don't let, this bear market make you forget what this thing can really do. Because the thing about Hex that Bitcoin's not going to do, like Bitcoin's not going to go from 10K to 30K in a matter of a few days. Hex can easily go from 1 cent to, what is this, 3 to 5 cents in a matter of a few days. That's a 3 to 5x in a matter of a few days. Bitcoin's not doing things like that. So when the bull market comes back around, Hex is going to lead again, in my opinion, the same way it led all the way up here. When Bitcoin dropped from 65K to 30K the first time, Hex went up and did a 7x. Now Hex is finally slowing its way down, but Hex found its top before Bitcoin found its 69K top. And something tells me that Hex is probably going to find its bottom a little bit before Bitcoin and the rest of the market finds its bottom, because like I said, it kind of moves to the beat of its own drum. So don't get overly greedy, but understand there's a lot of people with a lot of money waiting on the sidelines right now, just waiting for that max discount.
For sure. I mean, it's interesting looking at the chart, because there was a sentiment going around, and I'm sure you're aware of this in the bull run before, where because Hex had never really been through a bear market, a lot of people were saying it's kind of bear proof. Obviously, that's been disproven now, and we can see it does capitulate when the markets go down.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, it's on discount big time. Obviously, never financial advice, but compared to those all-time highs of 50 cents plus, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing too, I don't know if you remember, this is back in September, obviously, because we were trading at 40 to 50 cents. When Hex finally, let me zoom in a little bit. We're at all-time highs. We hit, 50 cents, pulled back to 38, came up 50 cents, pulled back, hit it a third time. This is not the most bullish structure. When you ever see a triple top like this and you can't see it broken, the chart slowly turns into like a downward pour. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I didn't expect Hex to go down this much, but I made a stream, I think with the first week of September, maybe the last week of October. It's still on there. All my good and bad calls are still on there. So people control me or go honor me for the calls. But I made a stream when Hex was still in the 40 to 50 cent range, telling people like, hey, the average dip is 68%, talking about these small dips. I can see a dip going down to 22 cents. People didn't like it at first, but when that first dip happened, this wick happened right here. It bounced right off this 22 cent range, literally on the dot. How did I find that? That was like a 618 dip too. So that 618 kind of tells everything. These dips were sort of expected. Like I said, I was fooled too. Not fooled, but I was fooled in the sense that I thought Hex was just bear market proof. The fact that it hit that dip target and then bounced right off, I was like, wow, this thing's going to continue to run. I knew like the bear market was coming, especially when Richard Hart saying the top is in. I'm like, there's no way Hex is going to continue to run up unless it bounces off this 22 cent range, which it did. So, but like these are, we saw dips on my channel like way before they actually happened. And I remember like talking about dips at all-time highs, I would get crucified by the community. But now that, Hex is at, whatever, 12 cents, 8 cents, 5 cents, 3 cents, 20 cents, and I'm staying bullish. People troll me for being bullish now because misery loves company. They're like, no, we can only talk about price going down. But I'm like, no, guys, I stay bullish for a reason. When Hex gets back to all-time highs, hopefully people will thank me in that sense, because I see a lot of people flaking out and getting all scared and worried and changing their sentiment on Hex due to price action. All these stakers that act like price doesn't matter are the ones that are the people that are the most worried now that the price is actually going down. But here I am, the guy that people think worries about price all day because look at charts. I'm just calm as ever. 50 cents, half penny. Everything's fine. It's all gravy over here.
Well, the fundamentals haven't changed. It's just the sentiment in the market, right? Like
absolutely. The code hasn't changed one bit. Nothing in Hex changed.
Because people are getting fearful and obviously people are selling. So,
actually, the only thing that's changed is now T-shares are paying us consistently over 6 Hex a day. It was like skyrocketing to 5 cents last year. And we were like, wow. Wait, sorry. I don't know if I said cents or Hex. Paying us 6 Hex a day. Last year is paying us 5 Hex a day. The T-share payout per day is going up and up and up the way it was designed. So people that are getting fearful on Hex at a time where the T-shares are paying us more Hex now than ever because of all these emergency end stakers, especially at a time where T-shares cost less than $1,000 just to get your hands on one, assuming you don't stake it for more than the 10, 15 year max. Like opportunities screaming people in the face, but they're too worried about the difference between 8 cents, 3 cents, and 1 cent. And like, guys, if you're in Hex, don't treat Hex like a normal coin. Hex, like, it's a long-term thing. If you're really going to use Hex for what it's designed for, put money in that you want to bury away in a treasure chest underground for 15 years, and like you're not going to see it for 15 years, go ahead and do that. But what too many people did do is put money that they needed tomorrow and staked it for 10 to 15 years. And now they're worried about money they can't even touch while the price is going down. But they are all excited when price was 50 cents when they still couldn't touch it. So people just got to understand Hex for what it is. It's really simple. Be in Hex for the T shares, be in Hex to protect yourself, kind of build yourself some foundation. So yeah, nothing has changed in Hex. It's just doing exactly what it's designed to do.
Absolutely. So what is your, I'm sure I know, but I'm sure some people in the chat need to hear, what is Jenkins' strategy at the moment in this bear market? Is it just chilling? Is it dry powder on the side waiting for lower, or is it just stake and chill?
Yeah. And I got a solid strategy. So I know, Matt, you were watching my Chad streams when I went straight Chad mode. Hex was dipping. Those. Hex was dipping, and I'm like, shit, I don't want to hold Hex. I mean, I did want to hold Hex, but I'm like, I don't want to sit here and do nothing because it's going down, right? So I was trading the other coins, like all the meme coins. I won't even show them or name them. But we made a lot of. I didn't even expect to make as many gains as I did back in February and early March when those things are popping off. At that time, I was turning all those gains into Hex. When it was around this range here, as early as like 18 cents all the way down to like 12, 11 cents. I put a lot of profit into Hex at this point. But once we had this W pattern that I used to talk about a lot on stream right here, this W, great bullish sign. But once we couldn't break 20 cents there, and it actually ruined the W and broke down, it told me like, okay, Hex is just going to continue to capitulate. So I'm not buying Hex, but at this point, I've already converted so many gains into Hex. The last time I bought was here at 11 cents. Excuse me. At this point, I'm just letting the blood in the streets go on. I'm letting the storm pass. If I see, I do have some, and I'm probably sharing too much. I don't want to share too much, but I do have some liquid, stable sitting there ready to deploy. But I want to just kind of see what kind of pain, endures in the next few weeks. Because I feel comfortable with what my bag's at now. But the ultimate signal I'm waiting for, and I wouldn't hang me on this, but I'm genuinely waiting for the day that PulseChain comes out. The moment that PulseChain becomes a reality, that's my signal that the bull market's coming back, because that's Richard Hart assuming that it's the right time to launch Pulse. So when it's the right time to launch Pulse, that's probably the right time to buy your bag, because your bag's probably going to go up the fastest and face the least amount of resistance. The reason why I'm not investing huge bags into anything right now is because I can buy 3 cents, enjoy this dip here, or this recovery here, even if it goes to 6, even if it wants to go back to 10, 11 cents. But what if that max pain dip comes 11K Bitcoin November or whatever, and then now we're back down here? I'm not getting greedy, but if PulseChain launches here, okay, I'm going all in, back in. There's no reason for me to hold stable. I don't care what the market condition is, because I trust that Richard Hart's launching at the right time. If PulseChain launches here, which we know damn well it's not going to, same thing. But if we get all the way down here and then PulseChain magically, launches around this range later, next few, like September, October, November range, that's where, all stables go back into 100% actual asset holding. So my major signal to answer your question is whenever PulseChain is actually happening, that's my signal that the bear market's over. I still recommend DCA for everybody that doesn't have enough in their bag. If you're at all-time highs in Hex and you realize you want it more in your bag, DCA, like not financial advice, DCA your way down. Buy a bag here, buy a bag here, buy a bag here, buy a bag here. But if you're comfortable with your bag and you just have stables, you have money deployed in the sideline, I'm at the point where like I'm chilling. I'm not worried one bit. So whenever PulseChain becomes a thing, I'll go all in. But in the meantime, there's no real necessary reason for me to hop in and do more than I need to. I'm not trying to bite off more than I can chew. I'm just chilling, enjoying the gains from February, March, doing the meme coin stuff and sitting on some stables from that. And I'm just waiting for the PulseChain reality to become a thing and just watching the war, the blood in the street go on from the sideline over here.
That's a perfect segue into PulseChain, because I know that you took a lot of flack with B Roots as well a few months back.
Oh yeah,
for your theory, and now a few people are agreeing with you. I see on Twitter. So how are you seeing it play out in your opinion with PulseChain at the moment?
It's playing out the exact same way we saw it like 8 months ago when Richard Hart kind of went on the whole unfollow thing and Hexo blocked me and the community attacked me for standing up with a scammer who used his mind to think for himself and be roots. And I remember those days, but I'm like, guys, like I didn't want to go against the community and against Richard Hart in those times, but I'm like, guys, when things make sense, what's right is right. And once I started noticing the politics being played when it came to the PulseChain launch, I'm like, this thing for sure is not launching until the bear market. But the thing is, it's not even the politic part of it. It's the sense that it made. I'm like, it's good for all of us, for all the people that wanted to just criticize us for thinking that PulseChain is not going to launch until the bottom. You're going to see all these delays happen magically. It's for the better for all of us. Do you guys want PulseChain to launch now and see that thing melt to below what the sacrifice rate was? Not really, right? At least I would hope so. Do you want a PulseChain chart looking like butt cheeks, or do you want PulseChain chart to look like it's on steroids, you know? But if you remember, and I was very specific about this, I'm going to share back the Bitcoin screen real quick to show you something, because this is where my suspicion started when it came to the PulseChain launch and it not happening till the bear market. Let's go here back to Bitcoin. Delete this off real quick. So remember, Bitcoin 65K top. Richard Hart calls it on the day right here. All right, it's going to 10K, 85% dip. It's in the books, market. It's going all the way down here. Let's just assume that line was straight. Bitcoin hits 30K, bounces, fine structure, great, boom. Here's the top, dead cat bounce. Richard Hart, dead cat bounce. It's going down, boom, fake out. It went up to all-time highs. This right here, September, October, two things happened. PulseChain started getting the delays, and this is just my conspiracy for all the people that complain that, you know, people just cry, whatever. This is exactly when PulseChain delays started happening. The moment Bitcoin went to 69K instead of 10K. Oh shit, it did not go to, oh sorry. Oh shoot, it went up to 69K. It didn't go down to 10K the way that Richard Hart expected it to. I'm not challenging him or questioning him on that, but that's when the PulseChain delays happened. That's an actual fact when they started. This is also when Hex saw its top. All the people that FOMO'd in, that bought that 10 cent all the way to 50 cent run up because PulseChain was here and coming. The delays are coming. It's not happening. And then the Hex capitulation started happening. We saw the 22 cent bounce. And then from this point on, delay. At this point, we had testnet V2B come out to give people some hope of excitement with ascending triangle, and boom, and this thing ripped down. The whole mid-May thing happened. I'm looking at Bitcoin, but the whole mid-May thing happened. Everyone thought PulseChain was coming. Here's mid-May, the run-up. It didn't come again. People bought the rumor. So what you got to do is buy the rumor, sell the news. You know, I talk about that all the time when it comes to meme coins, but in Hex itself, this was probably the easiest trade of all time. 11 cent buy, run up to 20 cents. Once we saw that 20 cent resistance and Richard Hart confirmed that it's not happening in May, it was like, yeah. And then it really went down. But my suspicion started, to go back to the topic, my suspicion started once the delays happened, as soon as Bitcoin's dead cat bounce that Richard Hart said was happening didn't happen and actually made new all-time highs. So what I do believe in my heart, and no matter how much people call me crazy, if we have this dip happen in 2021 and then finish itself off, PulseChain would be here live right now. The markets would be, you know, nice and clean. The bull market would be back. But yeah, Bitcoin made new all-time highs. The inflation numbers and everything kind of got stretched off a little longer than they had to. So now we're starting to see the economy take its tumble. And now we're starting to get that whole Bitcoin, you know, potential 85% dip. So that's where the suspicion started right there. Then B Roots kind of implanted the idea into my head, you know, and that's when the community went at us around that same time. And I'm like, yeah, like that makes too much sense. I just didn't get how people didn't see that. But I'm glad that people are now seeing it, but they have no choice. I mean, like there's nothing to debate at this point. It's just happening, and that it is what it is. But like I said, whether you do good work, you tell the truth, or you tell your best truth, you be as honest as possible, and you give people what they want to hear, they don't want to hear, they're going to complain regardless. You can't control that. So I just chill.
Yeah, man, it's really interesting. And, you know, to hear it here first as well, you know, obviously it's all speculation, but as far as you're concerned, when PulseChain goes live, then the bull market can resume. So
yeah, right. It makes too much sense, doesn't it? That's like, get excited, people. Like the bear market if PulseChain is not here, that means bear market's still happening and it's probably going down. If PulseChain's here, it probably means bear market is almost over and prices are going to start going up. So just wait. Just wait for literally this PulseChain thing to happen. And I know there's a lot of like dumb people out there that don't believe in Hex or Richard Hart or whatnot that make fun of us for saying like, oh, wait for Pulse, because they think we're just like clowns that believe too much in one thing that's not happening. Like, no, it's happening. The testnet's out there, it's working. Like the code's up there in the GitLab. Like it's all good. It's all well. I mean, the code's probably ready to go now if they wanted to really just launch it and, you know, work on it as it's out there. But like I said, just this is something to be excited about for the people that are worried in this bear market.
Man, this has been awesome. I think you've helped a lot of people see the wood through the trees. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you taking your time to come on here. Before I let you go, maybe you can just give a bit of parting advice to people who are experiencing their first bear market before you go, and just, you know, tell them what to do.
Yeah, I would say if this is your first bear market, just sit back, enjoy the show. Maybe delete your staker app if you don't want to keep looking at that number too often. I've been in bear markets before. I will say my first ever bear market, I was a leverage trader, trading leverage, where if my trade that I had in mind went too low, the market was going to liquidate me and my money was gone. So if I'm buying Bitcoin or selling Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever crypto it may be, I've been in bear markets where my entire bag got wiped out. My account went to zero and I didn't get my money back. I had to go work at a job and put my paycheck money into it. And that's a really bad feeling. So if you're in a bear market now, but you're holding the keys to your own crypto coins, just because the value of your coin's not worth what it was at one point, be fortunate and grateful that you have those coins in your wallet in the possession of your hand, ideally making yield right now, you know, paying you daily without having to buy if you're in Hex staked. Because once the price, you know, turns back around, the bull market comes, bear markets are so easily forgettable. But if you're lasting right now, you're learning a very vital experience that's going to make you stronger than you can ever imagine for next time. When the next bear market comes around, you guys will be able to, you know, chill and just know how to handle it, at least from an emotional standpoint. But yeah, just hang tight. If you DCA, if you can, don't worry. You could be in a way worse position. If you're in crypto now in a bear market, there's still 98% of the world that doesn't even know what crypto is, let alone holding it. So you're still early. Just hang in there. Patience is virtue in these circumstances.
Awesome, man. You got to love that Chad energy. So where can the people find out more about you? Tell them your socials.
Twitter, at Cosmo Jenkins, COSMO Jenkins. YouTube, it's like Jenkins, I think. I don't have many streams yet. I am, by the way, for the people that want me to stream more, like, trust me, like, I'm prepared to stream more. Right now, I'm just vacationing, enjoying life in the bear market. But when PulseChain comes out, I fully expect to be busy looking at probably way too many charts and just doing daily analysis again like I was. But I'm like, my YouTube channel is not lit right now, full of videos, because I'm just, you know, taking a break, enjoying myself. I actually get kind of bored doing technical analysis nonstop. I feel like after doing it for like 30 straight days in February, March, I was like, I'm saying the same thing every day. So I get on stream, like, I'm just too repetitive. So I had to take a break. But YouTube, yeah, they can go subscribe there. Videos will be coming soon, especially when PulseChain comes. But Twitter, I stay active for the people on there, try to give people perspective and insight. Also troll the people that hate. Sometimes I'll have fun with trolls and keep things entertaining. But yeah, Twitter, YouTube, and that's Telegram, I guess, but whatever. Yeah, I guess Twitter.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Listen, I really appreciate your time, making time, coming back from vacay to give us a little bit of the alpha. And yeah, let's stay in touch and come back on at some point. And
Absolutely, Matt. Thank you for inviting me on here. I appreciate your time, and I'll be more than glad to come back on again.
Awesome, buddy. Take it easy.
You too.
Cosmo Jenkins, the man, the myth, the legend. Definitely go and follow him on Twitter and YouTube when he gets back to streaming. His streams are pure fire. I love his take on it. And that calm energy, guys. Listen, that's what you need in life. Never mind just bull or bear markets, but being calm, being methodical, and thinking things through. If you like live streams like this, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos and content on the channel. You can also hit the like button, tap the bell notification so you're notified every time we make new videos, and even share the video with someone who you think it may benefit. And also, if you're watching a playback, drop a cheeky comment below in the algo. It does help us out. Thank you. Hope you're all having a good time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.